Well, hello there. And this week we are discussing a updated version from 2021 of the Jules Verne classic Around the World in 80 Days. This TV series aired over the Christmas period, let's say 2021 to 2022, of, was it 8 episodes
Yep.
of uh, of this updated version, uh, starring David Tennant as the traveller Phileas Fogg, who
Phileas Fogg.
takes up a bet of travelling around the world in 80 days, no more than that.
Hmm.
So it's the tale of him going around the continents, coming up coming up against certain things and just trying to win the bet.
Yeah.
So we're going to go over to Susan now. What are her opening thoughts on this adaptation?
Hi, everyone. I've done a lot of traveling in my lifetime, but I've never gone all the way around the world. And so I find that this movie challenges me. And I find that the book that it came from by Jules Verne, it also challenges me. I love the fact that it's set in Victorian times kind of thing. Maybe a little more what's the next one called? Jacobean? No. The one Jacobite period. Whatever that is. King James period. Anyway, it's it's interesting the way that David Tennant plays Phileas Fogg is as a grumpy man, and I've watched a lot of the Around the World in 80 Days movies and TV shows before. I watched the one that was on PBS in the 70s, but I watched it in the 80s. But it was on Masterpiece again in the 80s, and yeah, that was that was during a time when I was revisiting all of Jules Verne's books, and so I really enjoyed reading the story and then following along with the PBS. It was split into two parts, and it's the one with the huge cast of thousands that was that was a great one. Anyway, and Phileas Fogg was played as more of a comic book character in that one. And then in the one that Disney made, he was so silly. I mean, he was actually just a silly fellow, and he was played so hilariously by Steve Coogan, who has done some incredibly good silly things in his life. You know, played him for laughs. Steve Coogan did, and David Tennant doesn't, and he doesn't play him like he played the Doctor either. He doesn't play him like he played Doctor Who. Played him a bit more like Hardy or one of his other characters, a little more serious, because he is an inexperienced traveler, and there's a lot of stress involved with going around the world. And you could see that in the way he relates to people. And, but he's resilient. And that resilience is really where what I love about the character of Phileas Fogg at all is that he is so resilient. He's got so much stick-to-itiveness, so much persistence, so much uh, uh, kind of, what I love about the character of Phileas Fogg at all is that he is so resilient. He's got so much stick to itiveness, so much persistence, so much, kind of, uh, kind of, what I love about the character of Phileas Fogg at all is that he is so resilient. He's got so much stick to itiveness, so much persistence, so much, kind of, brilliance in sorting things out. And then when he can't figure it out, things just naturally fall into place because of Abigail Fix and because of Passport 2. And Passport 2 this time was played by Ibrahim Koma, and Leonie Benish played Abigail Fix. And they did really great job on those two. And I liked the way that was, and Jason Watkins and Peter Sullivan played the Fogg's and antagonists back at the Reform Club. And the Reform Club wasn't a club about inventors like it was portrayed in the Disney movie. It was a club of people who were new aristocrats in the UK, not old money but new money, and so they needed their own club, apparently, because they weren't cool enough for House of Lords. They weren't that kind of aristocrats, and they weren't common enough for House of Commons, and they weren't, just pub going people, so they had to have a club. And it was all boys until Abigail Fix walked in that one day. So that was fun. Anyway, so there's a bit of Old Boy Network versus all these things that are coming up eventually. Women, votes for women, racial equity, all these things coming up, and then the Old Boy Network, but then really basically Bellamy is in the middle, and he's trying to, hold on to whatever looks like power to him, because he has no money at this point. He's just bankrupt himself, which is a bit of a tell, and that's why things are going to hell, because he made a bet with Fogg that is terrible to him. Anyway, so Around the World in 80 Days. Anyway, that's my opening thoughts.
Oh, cool. I've seen, like, so there's many versions of this, the movies, with David Niven and
That's who did it, David Niven.
Steve Coogan, even the Pierce Brosnan version.
Yeah.
Back, was that in the 90s, I think?
Uh-huh.
And each one has been different. Adaptation. The adaptation has been different. Things have been changed here. Things have been changed there. Having not read the book or the novel by Jules Verne, I wouldn't know how close each adaptation is to the book. I mean, I don't know how different this one is to the book, but
it's not very different.
Not very different.
No, not from what I remember, but I did read it back in the 80s. Go on.
Yeah, it was an interesting watch. It's the first time I've seen it. I missed it when it first it was broadcast. Interesting watch. Tennant's performance as Fogg. He was living up to the card what said coward, because he did start off cowardly.
Uh-huh.
His character he was very cowardly,
Mm-hmm.
and very ignorant of all the countries he was in, because he'd never travelled. And it was up to Passepartout and Fix to sort out problems while he was none the wiser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was an interesting serial, traveling from different continents. But by the end of it, Fogg's character had changed totally.
Yeah.
He become more abrupt, more in your face, and he wouldn't take no rubbish off anyone. which was a great change of character from the beginning of the story to the end of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great supporting cast. Great sceneries. I know some of it was filmed with CGI.
Mhm.
Some of it wasn't, like, on the island and in the desert, but yeah, a great travel log of an adventure. Uh, yeah, it was. Was it 8 episodes too long? I don't know. They could have done it in six, in my opinion, because I think they were stuck on the island for too long. But yeah, it, great acting. You can't knock the acting. Um, and it didn't bore me either, because sometimes you're watching something and you just wander off and you go do something else while you're watching it. But this one, yeah, it kept me transfixed to the screen. So it did its job.
Yeah.
So some of the other, you've mentioned Jason Watkins and Peter Sullivan, but you've also got Richard Wilson in here as Fogg's butler,
Uh,
which he's only in the first episode and the last episode.
I know, because he couldn't really travel with him. He was too old.
Mm. But it was nice to see you, Richard Wilson, in something. Um,
Uh-huh.
mm. So I'm going to go back to you now, Susan.
Yeah,
Moment.
Richard Wilson. Let me just play off that. Let me do some riffing off that. Richard Wilson has been in, like, everything,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in a Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who episode. But
Yeah.
he the amazing thing with his performance is that he played so frail, but usually he's sort of a stand-up guy. He plays the hero in a lot of stories, um I did like how they kind of they surrounded this story with a lot of interpersonal stuff. Like I like uh I love the 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 guy in, was it Bangladesh or India, who is getting married,
Mm.
and Fogg had to, but he didn't have to, but he did have to go and interject himself into the wedding ceremony, and then eventually into the court martial of the groom, because the groom was actually AWOL. And so, I mean, that was incredible. Like, the whole discussion between love and duty and love and cowardice and love. I mean, it was basically like in a microcosm the story of what Fogg went through earlier. And then Fogg, another part of that story that's so amazing is waiting by the clock in the station at the train station. I think it's Penn Station in New York, and it actually running into Estella there, and like them rehashing their whole relationship and discussing where they've been in the meantime, and yeah, and how he really had grown at that point. By that point, thank goodness. And the fact that she said, "No, I don't think your story is done if you come, like, if you're gonna connect your train to me anymore."
Mm.
I that could have gone either way for me. You know, because if they would have done that instead of pushing him onto to Liverpool and then the train station and then and then the arrest there. I mean, like that was, but the fact that they took the Henrietta from New York and he didn't just stop in New York with Estella. I mean, yeah, that could have gone either way for me. They say that this version, it the other part of the reality of this version is that it apparently has more psychosocial relationship matrices in it, you know, things like Passepartout uh and Abigail Fix, you know, like that, like those two and their relationship and how it affected all the people around them and how it affected them and how very British they were. They didn't snot. I mean, it didn't end up in mad, passionate kissing on the dance floor. They danced. I mean, the difference between British filmmaking and American was evident right there because you know these two protagonists who just traveled like and had all these incredible adventures couldn't even get it together to kiss on the dance floor. But they did come together. They did. Yeah. You should speak. I'm gonna get something to drink really quick.
Yeah.
Can you tell? Sorry about that.
Oh well. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was an interesting watch. I mean, to get the go from continent to continent. You know, we started off in where was it now? France. We went from France. Then you went to Italy. Then it was where was it after Italy? Oh, it was in the desert, wasn't it? And then we went to the India, and then it was Hong Kong, and then it was say America. So and then back to England and back to the UK. So he did a lot of travelling and a lot, but also getting a lot, always getting accused of something or getting locked up for something, um, which added to the threat of losing the race. It was all about time. Um, you muted by the way, Susan. Um, I can see your mouth moving, but there was no
Yeah,
sound.
it was all about time. Go on.
It was all about time. You know, running out of time, traveling, time traveling. No, uh, there again, he did lose it. He did lose a day at the end of the
Uh-huh.
movie, at the end of the series. So he travelled back in time.
Yeah.
So
Which is exactly what happens when you go east.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, for me, the costumes, the scenery, it just felt so, you know, a great production. Um, and also the sound design, the music, to get Hans Zimmer
I know.
involved in the music.
That was a
You know,
cool.
when his name came up on the opening credits, Hans Zimmer and who else was it? Um, what's his name? Good job for Google here. Where is it? Come on, Hans Zimmer and Christian Lundberg to create the music and the theme song. You can't go wrong, can you?
No.
So
And the other thing that was I mean, they did, you know, cross the international date line and go back in time that one day and stuff. But the other thing that was so interesting about their trip was that it was that no matter what befell them, they were able to make up the time that they would that it was that somehow they were able to keep pressing on, like them throwing sand on the railroad tracks to cross that gorge with that just virtually dismantled bridge, and their little train behind them. Oh my gosh, like they had to leave the cars
and the passenger.
and the passenger. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, you already mentioned the Indian wedding. You've in America, when they get to America, you've got the storyline is about racism.
Very much so.
Very
Yeah.
much so. I mean, I don't know if that was in the book. I don't know if Jules Verne was.
I don't remember that was necessarily a thought. I mean, it really was a thought in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The way Nemo respected the characters of the people who lived on these islands, but none of the Americans or British people who were on board with him did. But I don't remember it being in Around the World in 80 Days.
So they've also added that to be, a bit more up to date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you had the racism thing there. You had when there was in Hong Kong.
Aristocracy versus old aristocracy versus new aristocracy.
Yeah, I mean, getting accused of stealing that gem.
Mm-hmm.
Going to get lashed. Who was going to get lashed? Of course.
And so
You know,
in this, we've seen David Tennant tied to a pole and lashed.
yeah, only the once.
Only, well, did we need more? I mean, that was kind of brutal, abrupt. No,
It was. Anyway. It was. But yeah, for what it was a good series. Watchable, enjoyable. It's the acting what made it for me. Those actors made you believe.
Yeah.
About the threats, what was going on.
Yeah.
And the racing against time.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's going to be a second series. Apparently.
Oh.
I don't know how.
How does that work? There wasn't a second book in the series.
No, it just says. What does it say here? It says ahead of its broadcast in 2021, it was announced the program had been renewed for a second series.
I don't remember a second book.
But they did at the end of this one go mention about a mechanical underwater.
Oh, the submarine, the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Nautilus.
Yeah,
so maybe they're going to do that in. Oh, okay.
Are they going to do a Verne's universe?
Okay. All right.
Are we going to have a Phileas Fogg versus Nemo?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. But yeah, it was quite a little thing at the end there where he said about that. I thought, oh, that's
so. But so that'll diminish the impact of Nemo's non-racism versus because they've already talked about that in first season. It's kind of like where the actual things like land. The other thing that I really I enjoy about the way Verne writes is that he writes things that you can just see. They're so elegant. They're so beautiful. Like the balloon that he described was just gorgeous. It was like frilly and full of voluptuous curves you know, you almost saw it like a blimp or a dirigible or something like that. Anyway, or
And the blue
a blitzkrieg balloon or something like that. It was like super cool.
and the balloon we got in this series wasn't anything like that.
No, it wasn't. It was just like a normal one, but
Yeah, bit of a
it,
disappointment. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the description of the Nautilus being gorgeous and the description, I think that he sat in the Eiffel Tower just writing these. I don't know, maybe that was, I don't know where he sat and wrote these stories, but it was, oh man, it was amazing. From the Earth to the Moon, the way he described the spaceship and that.
Yeah, it's done a hell of a lot of. He did what was it? Mysterious Island,
Yeah,
20 Leagues Under the Sea, of course. Journey to the Center of the Earth,
yeah,
Around the World in 80 Days, From the Earth to the Moon, as you say, In Search of the Castaways. A lot of literature there, what we still get hold of and adapt into some sort of movie or some sort of TV series, or even
right.
radio plays.
Or radio plays, yes.
Jules Verne for me is up there with the likes of H.G. Wells.
Yes.
Those two visionaries of literature.
Yeah, but I mean, Jules Verne, he saw the future. I mean, he saw it. It was in his brain. So good.
So, anything else you'd like to say about Around the World in 80 Days?
Yeah. So when I start my Around the World in 80 Days, because Hull, I could go from Hull here to Hull there. I'm just gonna I'm picking you up. We're going places.
You're not going to get me in a hot air balloon. I don't do height.
We're going places. Yes, we are.
I cannot go high.
Cannot. All this cannot. I don't believe you.
And
Okay.
I can't swim, so
All right.
So, shall we go to final say and score?
Yeah. Okay.
Over to you.
Well, I love this story, and I love this. I love this cast. I thought that David Tennant, again, the man is a genius. He is an absolute freaking brilliant actor. I can't believe that they're bringing him back to Doctor Who. I mean, that tripped me up, something fierce. And then he bring him Coma.
It's only for 3 episodes.
I know. What happens. And Leona Benish, they basically nailed it. And Fortescue or Jason Watkins and Peter Sullivan are excellent antagonists, and so I will give this I'll give this 10 10 of those pretty Indian garlands in the wedding out of 10.
Oh.
So pretty. And I just wish I could wear that kind of dress that she was wearing. Man, that was beautiful. Anyway, and if what you say is true and they're doing like a Verne verse, I freaking love that idea.
Well,
Let's go. That's awesome.
I haven't said that was in 2021. That's when it was said that, but I've not heard or read anything since then. So who knows? So
Yeah.
for me, I'm not going to give it that. I'm going to give it a 9. So yeah, nine. Ooh, so we put 9 postcards out of 10.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for me, personally, I did think it might have been an episode or two just a little bit long, but
Oh,
you know, they expanded. Well, you could do without that episode. Just, but it was still enjoyable to watch, to see, the talents of the actors bringing this book to life in the 21st century.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's my score there. Um, you guys, if you have seen this, they say it was on TV a couple of years ago. Please leave a comment below. You'll find us on all social medias of YouTube, Facebook, and all that sort. And if you'd like to join us, leave a comment as well, or send us a message on the social medias. You just have to be 18 plus. To say some things we discuss is that age range. All you need is a PC, laptop, tablet, or a mobile phone with a camera and a microphone. We use the Zoom app, so it's easy to use. So please get in touch if you want to join us. I think that's it, isn't it?
That is. It would be.
I think that's it. So I'm now going to go online and buy my ticket, and I'm not going around the world. I'm going to the moon. So
Oh,
until then,
fantastic.
yes, I'm going to be the first Hull lad in on the moon.
Okay.
So
Good for you. Thanks. Thanks for going for us.
Susan won't find me there.
The geeks assembled. Oh, you're going to the moon to hide from me? The hell?
Well, you said you was going to come and get me.
I said we were going traveling. You're just you're running away. Oh my God, you're scared of me.
Oh,
Can't believe this.
who would have thought it, folks? Well, until
Well,
next.
you can run, but you can't hide.
Oh God. We're on that bombshell.